Hey everybody, welcome back to Church Talk. We're talking about everything involving the local church. My name is Rob, and today we're going to be talking about CCLI. All right, now I know we've done a video in the past talking about CCLI, and so I'm doing another one. Ended up writing to them a while back, and if you don't know what CCLI is, it is the Christian Copyright Licensing Incorporated, or in some places we see it stands for international. But CCLI is basically, it's where you can license the music that you are using in your church. Now, my thoughts on this are mixed because I love what they've done with Song Select. I love what they've done, period. But there's also some places where they've went with their, I don't know if this is like the legality of things or if it's a CCLI thing, but I wrote them a while back because mainly we were having an issue at our church with, we sent out the check to them for a payment, and I logged in to take care of some music and download some new things, and they hadn't received our check yet. Our account was locked up. It was, we weren't there. So I called them. They're like, no, we haven't received your check yet, which, all that stuff is fine. Sometimes mail takes a little bit longer. To make a long story short, they received it that evening, and we were reinstated, and everything was good. But I was talking with the guy there, and I won't say his name, but I was talking with him, and I'm like, CCLI, Song Select is great. I love that service. I don't have any problem paying for that. But, my issue with CCLI in general is that we as churches, as believers, in order to worship the Lord, we have to have a license. In order to worship freely, and really it's not freely, in order to worship, we have to pay to have a license to use somebody's song. And I don't think that's the way it should be. We should be able to use whatever song we want to glorify the Lord because it's all His anyway. I get it if someone's making money off of a song or whatever, that, we pay royalties to them. But if you're a writer and you are writing music for the sole purpose of people glorifying the Lord, why do you want them to purchase your music to glorify the Lord? Why not just create it for the Lord's glory? Let Him get the glory out of it. And then in turn, He will reward you. But when we are after a dollar, then that's what we'll get, is a dollar. We won't receive the blessings of the Lord. Now, I'm going to read to you the history of CCLI and why it was created. Now, it makes a whole lot of sense why they were created and what they were doing. I get all of that, and I think they're a good thing, but I think they've maybe went a little bit too far. Maybe it wasn't CCLI, but our legal system. Here we go. Our history. Our story began in 1984 when a pastor in Portland, Oregon learned of a pending $3.1 million copyright lawsuit against the Archdiocese in Chicago. The pastor asked his music minister, Howard Richinski, to ensure that his own church was acting lawfully. Understandable. It became abundantly clear that a copyright solution was needed for churches and the songwriters and publishers creating worship music. And so Howard began to develop a permission of use concept through which churches could obtain blanket permission for specific non-commercial copyright activities. This led to the formation of Star Praise Ministries, which grew up quickly and was incorporated in 1988, becoming Christian Copyright Licensing Inc., CCLI. A ministry of the church, a service to the church. CCLI began as a ministry to better educate and equip churches about copyright laws. Our goal is to protect the church from the consequences of copyright infringement and to encourage greater use of copyright material in church services. As our services and resources continue to expand and evolve, we remain committed to that source. CCLI now serves more than 230,000 churches and organizations worldwide. So we can see that CCLI was a needed thing legally. And I think that churches, we probably should protect ourselves and have a CCLI license. Now, here's my drawback with a CCLI license is that not every song that you do is covered by CCLI. So CCLI has been created for a good thing, but I feel like they have went so far. They went so far that now they're pretty much protecting you if you stay within mainstream. If you get outside of the machine, if you get outside of the mainstream Christian music industry, which I hate to say it's an industry, but it is. It's the worship music has become an industry and it's a moneymaker. And I think this is where my problem is with all of this, is that you're protected if you stay within the industry. But if you get outside of the industry, you're no longer protected because those songs are not included in our database. So what do? You're just not protected. You can't do those songs. So if you're a church and you want everything to be legit and legal, you stick to the songs that is submitted to CCLI by the mainstream worship industry. And I just don't think that's right. And this is what I wrote to CCLI. Part of the letter, I blurred out everything else because we had a really good conversation, and he asked me to write down a lot of different things that I'm seeing and things that I wish that CCLI could do, or some changes and things of that nature. So I wrote down a lot of different things, but here's just a small portion of what I wrote. It has become about making money. As I told Ted on our phone call, I believe we are seeing today why Jesus went into the temple, overturned the tables, and drove out the money changers with a whip. They were profiting off of the people's worship to God. They had turned his house into a den of thieves instead of a house of prayer. Guys, that's where I'm at with CCLI and everything being a legality. When we come together for worship, we should not be bound to a CCLI license, that we have to have a license and pay a royalty and all these things to worship the Lord. If you are making a profit off of people's worship, I believe that is why Jesus went in and flipped over the tables and drove out the money changers with a whip, because they were making the house of God. They were profiting off of the people's worship to God and making his house a den of thieves. And I think we are doing that same thing today with our worship music. We are profiting off of churches in their worship to the Lord. And I don't think it's right. I think that we have this wrong. I think that the Lord is not pleased by how we're going about this. Now, a lot of this is dependent upon the heart of the writer of that song. You know, for me as a writer, I would freely give my music out and have churches use that music to glorify the Lord. Now, where the legality of that needs to come into is to protect me when a church may use my music and they're making money off of my music. Then yes, I think that there needs to be a royalty paid there, because they're doing something for a profit, which is not a problem. Churches are allowed to profit off of some event or whatever. But I think if me as a writer, if I want to charge you to use my song so that you can worship, I think that's wrong. I think that the hearts of our writers are incorrect in this, and I think that we have gotten things turned around, flipped around, and we need to come back to the heart of worship, which is not about money, not about even the songs being written. But when we worship the Lord through song, we shouldn't be bound to the mainstream industry. I don't think money should be a part of it. It's just remove the money out of it. If you're making all your money by churches paying you so that they're protected so they can worship, guys, I just think it's wrong. And I know this video is not going to make it out to those writers, and probably never, CCLI will probably never see it, though I did write to them and they did write back to me, and they were great. They wanted to have a conversation, and I told them, I said, I'm not really interested in having another conversation unless you want to. If you wanted to reach out to me, and so they reached out a couple of different times, like, are you sure? I'm like, just let this letter reach higher up within the organization, and it's on them what they want to do with it. I'm just sharing my heart from a small church or mid-sized church worship pastor, and this is what I feel. Now, they can do whatever they want to with it. They can contact me, talk about it further, or drop it and never think of it again. But at least I've done my part in sharing how I feel and what I feel like that we're doing in the music ministry. Like I say, I'm all for being protected. I'm all for paying for music that we want to purchase. But man, this licensing thing is just going too far. The legalities of things, like if you're writing music for the purpose of glorifying the Lord, why are we even concerned about a royalty check from a church using it to worship? Now, you're putting on Spotify, you're putting on YouTube, you're putting on iTunes, all these places. Yeah, of course, it needs to have copyright, and you need to make the royalties off of it. But man, for the believers to come together and worship, I just don't think it's right. And I know there's a ton of you guys that agree with me, but there's going to be some that's like, I just disagree. I think you're wrong, and that's okay. Comment down below either way. I'm curious on your thoughts on this. So yeah, guys, that's it. I just wanted to share that thought that just come to me while I was writing the letter to them and while I was talking with the CCLI guy, and just wanted to share with you. So share your thoughts down below, comment, like, share the video, and if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel, help me grow it, and we will see you guys next time on Church Talk.